Hello, Dan. How are you?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Beautiful day.
Welcome.
Oh,
Welcome to the African Diaspora News channel.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. First, I would like for you to introduce yourself to our viewers, and then we'll start.
My name is Daniel Abbey, and I reside in the UK. And I've lived in the UK for the last 30 years. And I'm a businessman.
Okay. So your business ventures are?
Um, I'm originally a graphic designer. So I started product design, to be precise. So I graduated in engineering product design. But I'm also a graphic designer. My background is graphic design mainly. And then my family started a restaurant business in London. So we also have a restaurant that's been running for 15 years. So I did a lot of the graphic design for the restaurant. Nowadays they call it business design. So there's many elements of design. So design being solving a problem. So I did a lot of the planning. We did when we had to redo the restaurant. I did a lot of the planning, the menu design, web design, a lot of the marketing. So I got involved in a lot of design work in relation to business. Yes. So.
Okay, so you do both things, restaurant as well as designing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, with COVID now, restaurant is closed. But
Oh yeah.
So I doubled up on both web design, design and business. Yes.
Okay, so you've mentioned that you've lived in the UK for 30 years?
Yes, 31 years.
Yes, 31 years. So the rest of your years you've lived in Africa, I'm assuming.
Yes. I was born in Ethiopia, Addis, to be precise. Lived there until I was 12 years old and left Addis and then lived in Kenya. So I went to school in Kenya for about 2.5 years. And then when we decided to go back to Addis, there was a lot of problems in Addis. That's when the previous regime, Mengistu's regime, was being toppled down, 1989. So things were really difficult for us. So we decided to go back to Kenya, then to the UK as a refugee.
Okay. So how was your experience as a refugee in the UK? Wow,
that's a very good question. I was 15 when I came here, so we didn't have anyone. So things were really, really difficult. Not having a mentor, not understanding the environment you've come into, being a young teenager. I was a teenager, so I didn't have a lot of guidance. So things were tough. That's I remember it being really, but they build character. So really difficult because we didn't have any family here. So it's just myself and my brother. So we had to do it the hard way. So that's how I'd explain it. But a lot of tough times, which built character.
Yeah. So that's good. So you come like growing up in Ethiopia and then going to Kenya, and your exposure was a Black community. So going to the UK and being an immigrant, how did it shape you exactly, and how was the treatment, towards you?
Oh, I'd say at the beginning I didn't really understand. My first contact, I was actually in a very predominantly a Black community. Or Black area, if you like. I don't like to use the word Black. I like because I prefer African. We are all Africans. The reason why I say that, because we are Africans, we have heritage, we have a culture, we have a roots to come back to. So I'm African. Yes, I am Black when somebody else sees me, but predominantly I went into an area where I met a lot of Caribbeans, which I wasn't familiar with. I didn't know about Jamaicans. I didn't know about Bayesians or Barbadians or St. Lucians, communities like this. I knew about African Americans, but I didn't know about Jamaicans. So I'll give you a really funny story. The place we went to for the first time, there was a couple of Jamaicans there painting and decorating. So I listened to the English. I said, "What language are you speaking?" Because I didn't understand the patois. Apparently, it was patois, but then they explained to me. They had to break it down, and this is the kind of experience that we were exposed to. Then you get it. The majority of the people that lived in the area, the place was called Harlesden, was mainly a Caribbean community. So I was exposed to the Caribbean, a lot of reggae music. You'll hear a lot of lovers rock and things like that. I was exposed to a lot of that. So yes, it's a bit of a culture shock. So, but I was lucky in a way because the area was predominantly black area or African descent. Yes.
Okay.
So that's how it is. So for a short period of time, even the school I went to, maybe one Irish guy, and the rest were, and he was one white guy, Irish guy. So the rest were mainly African or black, and a few Asians as well.
Okay. Okay. So you said something about you not liking, like being labeled as black. I actually saw on your page something interesting. You posted you quote. You said, "Why do we allow ourselves to be reduced to a color?" What do you mean by that?
Oh, okay. My background, like I said to you, is graphic design, branding, and marketing. For me,
Yeah.
now if you read the time we look at color is once we've decided on the name of the company. For example, Facebook. And if you look at Facebook, if I said Facebook, you won't be confused. You know what I would be talking about. It's a social network. But if I said blue, the sky is blue. The water is blue. It's very confusing. Why are you reducing me to a hue, which means a hue, as in with HUE? Why are you human? Why are you reducing me to a hue man when I'm an African man? If you say Africa, then it unites us. You have an African descent. It doesn't matter whether you're African American or Caribbean American or Brazilian. But as long as you have an African heritage, that's why I've been to Cuba before, and I saw the all, the Nigerian roots there. You could see the I can't remember what they call, but it's African spirituality, which I adhere to. Even though I was born a Christian, but I can relate to the African spirituality. I'm spiritual for that matter, so I could see the African spirituality in Cuba. There was one cupboard. We went into this. You can rent one of these flats in Cuba, and there was a cupboard. You open the cupboard, and you've got Jesus and Mary on one side, and the other African spirituality on the other side. So they really believed in both sides. That's the African roots there for you. So why do you reduce yourself to a color? Yes, it gets to the point where, what color are you? Then I'll tell you, I'm black. But why don't we talk about the Africanness, the African descent, the culture, rich heritage, and those things first. So in branding, what you first do is you create the name. If I go back to branding, you come up with the name, and then you follow through with the personality of the brand, followed by attributes, the values of the company, vision, mission, and goals, whatever the case might be. And then you decide on the color. Why are you calling me color first and not the names that I am before that? And that's why I'm saying I'm African first. If you refer to me as an African, I can unite very easily with a Nigerian. I can unite very easily with a Moroccan, for that matter, or Central Africa, Angolans. So to give you an example, in our restaurant, we have Angolans working there, Ugandan working there, we have Cape Verdean working there. So a nice mixture of people working there. So that's Africa for me.
Okay, so that's why basically what you're saying is the color shouldn't come first. Yes, you can see that I'm black, but why is it all about that? And yeah, I get what you're saying now. So you said that you're in design. Have you ever thought about giving back to the community? Because you said you were born and raised in Ethiopia for a bit and then went to Kenya before you went to UK. you are an expert on something, and here in Ethiopia or in Kenya or in Africa, that expertise can be used. Have you ever thought about mentoring anybody or coming back to Africa?
I mean, one of the things that I said, the way my family was abruptly removed from Ethiopia, originally, like I said to you, my parents are Eritreans. So when we lived in Ethiopia, 1989, the problem was my family were very worried about the situation in Ethiopia. Ethnic cleansing. This is what annoys you. And I've lived in Kenya. I've seen the ethnic cleansing between the Luos and the Kikuyus. And it still happens to this day, which annoys me a lot. And in Eritrea and Ethiopia, to this day, it carries on, which is annoying. And in 1998, my family lost everything. We had a business, we had a house, because we are ethnically Eritrean, even though we were born in Ethiopia. But we got really, our family were really destroyed. And I didn't know a lot about Eritrea at the time, even though my parents were Eritrean. So in 2012, I went to Eritrea after a very long time. And I saw, because I didn't know Eritrea, that was my first time, after a very long time. I'd been there in 1997, but for a short period of time. But going there, I was like, I needed someone to take me around. So I had bought a travel guide. Imagine this. I bought a travel guide to go around Eritrea. But the problem was, I had to wait for people, kept waiting for people to show me around. So I said to myself, look, you can create your own travel guides. And I decided to create a travel guide, really apply my design. So the travel guides that existed at the time were mainly done by either an Italian, an English person, or somebody else. None of them were designed by an Eritrean. So I said, okay, maybe I can do something about this. And I saw some problems with this and the misrepresentation that takes place when somebody else, other than the person from that country,
tells your story.
Yeah. Yes.
Tells your story.
It tells your story. So I did. I did a travel guide for Eritrea, which is this one.
Okay.
So basically, it makes it easier for anyone to go. It's called Eritrip. So it's got 3 parts, which is the booklet. But the idea behind it was, if anybody wanted to go to Eritrea and they were not familiar to Eritrea, they could use this travel guide to really navigate through the city and the country. But that's one of the ways I actually applied the travel guide. But moving on from that, we've recently teamed up. We found ourselves really complaining all the time. Oh, why is Africa like this? Why are we cleansing? And then after a while we said, look, can we not do something about this? It's in our hands. We really need to do something about this. So that's where we came together and created what's called We Afrique. And it's the idea behind it is to bring the African community into one place and discuss our ideas and things like that. So
how do you do that? How do you go about it?
We've created a platform. So okay. we're in the process of creating a platform for the African community, or anyone with an African descent, or African diaspora, like myself, and people who are African descent. So the platform, the idea behind the platform is we all have a social network account, such as Facebook, or Twitter, or whether it's LinkedIn or YouTube, whichever these large social networks they are. So the issue was, okay, we're doing all these social networking on a physical level and just discussing ideas, and then it doesn't get anywhere. how can we bring this on a platform where we're discussing the issues and finding the solutions? Because we stop at the point where we're just discussing the coffee shop and things like that, and then it stops, doesn't go anywhere. So we decided, look, this needs to go somewhere and really bring the community together. So having a business background, and some of my co-partners also saw the benefits of that. So we decided, let's sit down and really come up with a plan. And we started writing down the plan. It took 2 years to come to this point, but we've now launched the website. We're in the process of creating a crowdfunding campaign. The video shoot is actually tomorrow, so we're trying to galvanize the community to an extent with the crowdfunding video, and then build a full platform. But we have a website right now. It's called wearefreak.com, and that's how we hope to do it. Yes.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you feel strongly, from what I can hear, that you feel strongly about our culture, us sticking to our culture, knowing, having an identity. So what do you feel about the current situation? Africans slowly are starting to look like a reflection of the Western world, and we're slowly just drifting away from our culture because it's like cool to be like those people that we watch on the TV, or with their soft power. What do you think we can do to stand where our ancestors left us, and just not drift away and stay true to ourselves?
Oh, that's a very good question. I mean, that's really what brought all of this, what we're doing right now. I was lucky. I was lucky to some extent because my father worked for Ethiopian Airlines, and we're fortunate to be exposed to quite a few things, but other people might not have been. And identity was everything to my father. It's something that he instilled in us. And I've got 2 kids, and I try to do that. And having children really opens your mind as well to another level. So I always thought, okay, what are my children going to experience? I didn't want my children to experience the same things that I experienced. I mean, going to university here, we had 18 students in our class, and there was only 4 black guys. There was myself and 3 other Nigerians in our class, and there was a lot of racism, but we just brushed it off because all of us had a culture we could stick to. We had a really strong rooted culture. So the culture, the identity, keeps you alive, I believe. You don't sway too much if you have an identity and a culture that keeps you grounded. And that's what's missing, I feel, nowadays with the young kids that are born here. They don't know how to speak their language properly. I feel language is a big issue, and I can see it with my children. And one of the things that I notice is my son might be on YouTube, but I want to show him some of my culture to some extent, but it's very limited. You go on YouTube and it's very limited stuff. And the kids nowadays, they can tell the good stuff from the bad stuff, the badly done. So it was very difficult to find something that I could keep him constantly watching that's related to my culture. Not just Eritrea, Ethiopia, but the whole of Africa, so that they know something about North Africa, South Africa, Middle Africa, Southern Africa. So they have a strong identity, so they can build a strong identity. But that's usually what the issue is right now. And that's one of the reasons why we created this platform. We were sick and tired of complaining. We were complaining. We said, no, stop saying I wish and start saying I will. So we decided, okay, if you're gonna do something about it, let's build it the right way. A lot of time what happens is people start things emotionally. Oh, let's go, let's do. And then before you know it, the business side is missing. So we decided, look, if we're gonna do things we're gonna do this. We're gonna have to do it properly. Let's build the foundation. That's why it's taken 2 years to build this platform, because we wanted to get the systems right. So because we know if this is done properly, it's gonna go for 7 generations, and if it does, then we've planted the tree. But we know we're not gonna sit under the tree. I'm fully aware that it's going to take a long time, and the plan is not for me to plant the tree right now and just have a shade, because that's what I feel. People nowadays want everything instantly. It's very, I want it now. But that's not what we're planning to do. That's why we want to do it the right way. The partnerships are done properly. The business side is done properly. So now we got to the point where we want to get traction, build it the right way, so the brand is well known in the community. And you can trust the community, because what we want to do is have a trusted community that engages on meaningful dialogue, that corrects and changes our habits. Like you just said, we're being swayed one way, but we know it's social engineering. So we want to engineer it the right way. We want to get involved. I don't want to say, I wish they did this. Who's going to do it? Who are you waiting for? There's nobody. You got to do it. So we decided, let's do it. Stop wishing and let's will it to happen. So that's how we birthed We Afrique. So
that's very awesome. Mm-hmm.
And it comes, the ethos behind it is I am because we are, Ubuntu, and it's a Southern African saying, which basically says I am because we are, and we want to get rid of the I and bring the we together. So that we can build a strong community around it.
Yeah, you are right. Most of us want quick, we want everything to be quick, especially this generation. And it's hard to do something and think, I'm just laying the foundation, and in the future, I might not be here to see it, but it's fine. We don't have that mentality. But it's awesome that you already know what to expect, and that's noble of you. But as you said, it includes you did that for Africa and the diaspora. How about the community, the brothers and sisters we have that are not of maybe immigrants or second generation immigrants that were there, that were taken during slavery? It includes everybody that is Black under the tree?
Yes, it does, because they're African descent for me. They're still my brothers. They didn't choose to, I know the history behind it. I mean, it's a buffalo soldier, simply. Like I said, being exposed to the Caribbean community, and there was tension between, when I first came here 31 years ago, I started in year 10 in school. And I remember this experience. This was so vivid to me. And I went into the classroom, the whole thing is very surreal to me. You got to understand, I've come from Africa, the whole experience, children screaming and shouting, in Africa, you put your hand up to speak to a teacher. But that whole experience, I mean, the whole thing was very surreal to me to start with. And then I remember a young man coming and asking me, where are you from? I said, I'm from, Africa. And he said, where in Africa? I said, okay, Ethiopia. Because at the time you say Eritrea, nobody knew where it is. And it's early stages. So I said, Ethiopia. And he said, oh, those hungry people. That's the first thing he said to me. I said, what do you mean? I said, well, because I really knew my culture and identity. And he's just telling me how we misrepresented we were. To this day, I'm thinking, is that all you know about Ethiopia? I just cannot believe. 1984 hunger, AIDS. That's all he remembered. But that was 1989. So I don't blame the guy for saying that. It just highlighted for me how divided. So there was a lot of division between, if you are African and the Caribbean, there was a lot of division between the two. I couldn't understand it, but you're brothers. Why all this division? I don't get it. But I didn't understand the dynamics at the time, but now I do. But because of that, that's why I keep saying African descent, even though we're black, when somebody sees us, but we're still African, and that unites us even more. We have a beautiful country, continent that we can all go back to. So I think that's why I refer to myself as an African, but further down the line, yes, black.
Yes. So from your experience back in the days, that guy asking you that, and now, have you seen some kind of unity being created between, the African descents and the immigrants? Is it getting better now that awareness
Much better.
is there?
I think that the internet has opened things up. There's
Yeah.
a lot more. There's a lot of information. I mean, in the past, ignorance is a bliss. You hear that all the time. But now, ignorance is a choice.
Mm.
I mean, you can go on. You just have to type it in, and it'll come up. But at times, you need to do your homework properly. It's not just because you typed it in Google and it comes up that it means it's true. No, it's not. You need to do a bit of homework and a bit of digging and study properly. Because at times, sometimes Google can get it wrong too. So I want to make sure people know about that. And I've seen this with a lot of some of the. All you have to do is go to the Eritrean map and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because it is rigged. Like Google, the first 10 things you get are probably paid for ads, or the ones that are trusted, the mainstream media that they trust, they give us. So the ones might be lost in there that are truthful and created by us.
That's why I want to be involved. I want to be involved. I don't. I remember just before COVID, a guy came. We had a regular customer, and he was Caribbean, and we all, I told him about the project, and he said, "Oh, Dan, it's an excellent idea, but do you think we can unite our people like that?" He was very pessimistic, and I said, "I'll die trying. At least I'm trying." So that was
great.
I'll die trying. I prefer I tried and failed than I didn't try. So first you got to make.
Yeah, and we're seeing hope as you said, internet is really helping us. And people tell me that I didn't know Africa's like this. I didn't know some people don't even know there's countries like Ethiopia, and it's good. This internet will help us in uniting and going forward to I mean, if we have to put in the work, we have to show our brothers and sisters what is here to see, like they've only been fed certain things, so they already have a preconception that like things are like this about us, and we have to show them that, one, we're open, two, we see them as our brothers and sisters and we will welcome them, and thirdly, they need to know when they come what they will find, as opposed to hunger and living in trees and huts, so that they get the full idea of Africa and they can fall in love with the real Africa rather than just being divided.
Yes. I mean, all these things you're saying, I just concur completely. And one of the things I would like to say is, with this project, we know there's a lot of misrepresentation in online, offline that goes on. I don't want to complain about that. I want to do something about that. I want to make sure I change that narrative completely. So how do you do that? By creating your own platform and getting people discussing on our own platform. That's the idea behind We Are Freak, and the ethos of Ubuntu, which is I am because we are. How are we going to do this? Let's talk about it on our own platform. It's like you coming to my house and me coming to your house. Then the discussion can stay within our house and it's not going to be misconstrued in any way. We're having that discussion just like we're having it now. I think that's what should happen. But most importantly, if you ask me what love is, I would say action. Love is action. So I'm acting. I love my children. Oh, I love you. No, I want to act upon it. I want to make sure, as a father, I want to be there. The father and the figure. I believe fathers cannot be careless. There's a lot of that nowadays. And that's why I want to, I want to get involved, make sure I'm there for my children. And when I mean children, I don't mean just my children. There's a lot of African kids that need my mentorship or role models. We need role models in our community. So what we want to do is bring in the youngsters, the professionals, the mothers, and the fathers who care about the community together into one platform, so that we can educate our children on our culture, heritage, language, and all of that. And there's a lot more that unite us than that divides us. But we just need a platform that's honest and true that can do that. But there's none now. Right now we're fragmented. That's why I believe our unity is fragmented. One is on Facebook just ranting away. The other one is on Twitter ranting away. Where is that unity there? We need just one platform that we can discuss ideas rather than rant.
Yeah, actually put in work is what you're saying.
Yes, work, yes. Definitely.
Yes, yeah. Well, your mission is awesome, and I hope it grows into a point where it really accomplished why you created it. That is unity and awareness, reality, getting to see the reality of what's on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being here, Dan. If there's anything you want to add and say, I'll give you the floor.
Okay. There's much more that unites us than divides us. Let's remember, we are Africans first. Whether you're in America, whether you're in Brazil, or in the UK or Japan. As long as you have an African background or you're a descendant of Africa, you are African, first and foremost. That's one thing I would like to remind people. And then, of course, Black after. But because if you see one young man dying in the street, it's an African boy lost. And anyone else dying in the streets, no matter who's killing him, an African boy lost or an African person lost. So that's one thing we need to remember. That unites us more than anything else. So that's what I would like to end it. I am because we are.